want to talk about Patriot Act 2.0, and this is where I'm going to show you a couple things from the screen. I think it might actually be better to take this one. Yeah, this is bad. This is the Restrict Act. All right, it's the Patriot Act on steroids. DC Uniparty wants to use the anti-TikTok legislation, which we know this ain't about TikTok now, as a Trojan horse for censorship and surveillance. That's Senate Bill 686. I know Oz was talking about it. What is it? It is to authorize. What's that?
Who's this by? Shactel?
This is Shactel to dossier. Yeah.
Okay.
And to authorize the Secretary of Commerce to review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries for other purposes. And I'm going to run a funny video that's going to show you that I found a TikTok on Instagram Reels that really the guy broke it out and broke this down a little bit more. But TikTok, now Jordan, I don't agree with a lot. And I don't agree with this first sentence. TikTok is indeed a pestilence upon our society. Okay, that's a little extreme. But there are right ways to go about minimizing this digital opium and its impact on our lives, and other means that will allow the American government to leverage the situation to further curtail our individual rights. I don't think that's a good idea. And unsurprisingly, the latter idea is making lawmakers in the Beltway beyond giddy this week. Yeah, of course they do. Of course it is.
Yep.
The Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology, or Restrict Act, which was introduced in the Senate earlier this month, would do much more than just ban TikTok.
This bill they couldn't even give it like a fancy schmancy,
like a flowery name, right? Like to protect our children from
as well call it
Chinese
the Big
Balloons
Brother
Act, right?
Or right, like yeah, exactly. The Balloon Act would have been good. The
Save Our Children Act. But again, this is no mere TikTok ban. It is a mechanism for a massive sweeping surveillance and censorship overhaul. The Restrict Act goes far, far beyond potentially banning TikTok. It gives the government virtual unchecked authority over the U.S. communications infrastructure. That sounds dangerous.
I mean, you could just take out virtual,
The incredibly broad language includes the ability to, quote, enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk to, quote, national security today and in any, quote, potential future transaction.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is right, Steph? The Senate legislation currently has 19 co-sponsors, all of whom are uniparty members in good standing. It is fully bipartisan, consisting of 9 Democrats and 10 Republicans, which means it's probably going to pass.
See Book of Carlin, chapter 3, verse 2.
That's right. Every time they're getting together, yes, they are usually standing behind you and doing it to you from behind. So TikTok is bad. Like, this is Darren Feinstein talking about overly broad language. Timcasts, and I'm not a big fan of Timcasts, but apparently this guy Ian Crossland fittingly described the legislation as the Patriot Act for technology. And I actually have this video queued up. So let me go to go to the slideshow off and hit escape here and go back to this and cue this up there and go back to here. Hey, look at that. It worked. All right. Ready? And hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
That's been introduced into the Senate, it's called the Restrict Act, is so dangerous because there really isn't much of a difference in these companies. If you start generally targeting social media companies for doing or for people doing things you don't like on those networks, it gives you carte blanche to just start ending networks, ending TikTok, ending Twitter. We're banning Twitter. We're banning YouTube because somebody on YouTube said that an election was fake. Like, I'm reading this bill. It's called the Restrict Act. Maybe we can pull this up at some point. And there's a few sections in the Restrict Act that are completely insane. Section 3, what do we have? Section 3(1)(c) is fucking insane. It's Section 3(a)(1)(c). What it says is, oh my God, this is so crazy, dude. This is like the Patriot Act for technology, basically. We cannot allow this kind of
What does it do?
Power. It gives the Secretary of Commerce the ability to, oh God, it's so, okay, so let's see, Section 3A. The Secretary, in consultation with the relevant executive department and agency heads, is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate these technologies, is what they're saying. If they pose an undue or unacceptable risk of interfering with the result or reported result of a federal election. And they're saying, like, if a person, this is any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. So any American citizen that says an election was fake on Twitter means that they can go into mitigating any mitigating act that they can take to solve that, meaning they could shut Twitter down.
We're fucked.
Well, thany you, Misty.
This
yes,
bill that's
right
been introduced
there.
into the Senate.
Now, what I wanted to do is this guy, and I believe it was Phil Winter. No, my friend Phil Winter over on the Facebook posted this, and he was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like. And I started watching it. I'm like, this guy's great. It's about 3 minutes long, but it's really entertaining. And he's as animated as I feel about this. So
$60 on printer ink for this
Wait, hold on. I gotta go back.
piece of shit.
Yeah, he's
4-in-1. It's got a scanner. Doesn't fucking work. I spent $60 on fucking printer ink that I have bought before. But of course, the printer ink apparently didn't work. I was missing magenta, so I had to go buy more ink so I could print out the entire Restrict Act. I wanted it in my hands for the ASMR feel. Okay, I didn't want to read it on the screen. Everyone's like, it's 55 pages long. I was like, no, it isn't. It's really short. It's only like 10 pages on the screen. They printed all fucking stupid. That's why it's 55 pages. But I wanted to sit down with my hands, touch it, feel it, and actually see it. So I could concentrate on this shit, and I sat there and I read the whole fucking thing. And first thing, this is not a TikTok ban. It could ban TikTok, but the word TikTok, the parent company ByteDance, they are not in this bill. They are not in the Restrict Act. Because this is not solely about TikTok. TikTok is the cover, so the rest of the internet won't give a shit about this. This bill allows the Secretary of Commerce to deem another country a foreign adversary and then cut them off from access to American internet. Think about that for a second. Think about it. They have a whole clause in here. The Secretary may, in consultation with the Director of National Intelligence, designate any foreign government or regime as a foreign adversary if the Secretary finds that the foreign government or regime is engaged in a long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to the national security of the United States. So we are going to leave it up to the Secretary of Commerce to decide if we are at a cyber war. That's what this comes down to. And the Secretary of Commerce can make that decision. Congress can be like, hey, here's a resolution that says we don't like that. But this bill gives the Secretary of Commerce the power to put us in a cyber war. Are you hearing me? It's not about shutting off fucking TikTok. Okay, Reddit? All right, Fark.com? Okay? Every fucking reporter out there, read the fucking bill. By the way, this printer is made in China. It accesses my Wi-Fi, Senator Congressman. It accesses Bluetooth. And I process data through it, like U.S. congressional bills.
Yeah.
Pause real quick.
No, he's done. We're done there. He's good. He's pretty pissed.
So, right now, Secretary of Commerce is Gina M. Raimundo.
Gina Raimundo. Oh God, she was the governor of Rhode Island, and she's awful. Oh, she's not a good person. She's a total neolib.
Was Wilbur Ross.
Oh yeah.
So that's the kind of people,
multi-billionaire mega corporate mogul that he handed that over to.
Who gets to decide who we're at cyber war with. Okay.
Here you go.
Okay.
And even our friends over at the Mises Caucus or the Mises Caucus over at the Libertarian Party, the Restrict Act is not just limited to TikTok. It gives the government authority over all forms of communication, domestic or abroad, and grants powers to enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk to national security now and in any future potential transaction. I mean, you want to talk about
the kids these days, they're
1984
on their Tic-Tacs. And
right, but here's the scary part is that a similar bill has already been introduced in the House called the Deterring America's Technological Adversaries Act, the Data Act. That's what you mean, that draconian name, all right, which has similar over-the-top security state initiatives. And unfortunately, the ongoing TikTok hearings in D.C., which we now know have been paid for basically by Facebook because TikTok didn't want to sell to Facebook, so Facebook paid a bunch of lobbyists to get on DC politicians to say, hey, we need to worry about TikTok. And maybe TikTok will sell the U.S. division or their whole division to Facebook. And that's the political maneuvering that's happening corporate-wise. But unfortunately, the ongoing TikTok hearings have very little to do with protecting the rights of Americans from potential CCP data harvesting and lots to do with protecting the uniparty dominance over the communications and surveillance space. That's what's really happening
Chinese
here.
Communist Party.
All right. Scary part is TikTok dilating our kids' pupils. Well, it's not just. Let me tell you, there's something.
Dilating our kids. That's definitely exactly how you. The Chinese government dilating our kids' pupils. Like, that's exactly what he would fucking say. Sorry, continue.
That's okay. Yeah. I mean, just draconian in language, in what it would do, in holy shit. Like, that just freaks me out.